Factors of 24.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Say that again.
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, and 4. Is that what you said? There's more than that?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. Number 6. If 2/3 of the students went to the game, how many attended the game?
Two.
68, good. Number 7, area of a parallelogram, what's the formula? Formula?
Area equals this.
And substitution?
Oh, area equals
12 times 5, and then the area of this parallelogram? 60 meters?
20.
60 square meters, good. Number 8, Sarah left home at 7:15 a.m. and returned at 3:10 p.m. How long was she gone from home? Lane?
8 hours and 55 minutes.
Not quite?
7 hours and 45 minutes.
Not quite?
6 hours and 70 minutes.
No?
7 hours and 55 minutes.
There you go, 7 hours and 55 minutes. 7 hours and 55 minutes. Number 9, we had 600 or 562 cupcakes divided equally among 24 people. How many cupcakes would each person get, and how many were left over? How many left over?
4.
Not 4 left over. 10 were left over. 23 cupcakes for each person, and 10 were left over. Number 10, 3 divided by 4 equals? No? You did 4 divided by 3. This is 3 divided by 4.
0, 6, 600.
Not quite? Three divided by 4. Anybody else? How many times is 4 going to 30? How many times is 4 going to 20? Questions on that? Okay. Please get that recorded.
You have to do 3 for like 35, 50, 75 items. It's pretty cool.
On 543, then, we're going to sign up on Tuesday, so take a look at that, please. Number 2, what was your ordered pair?
7 4.
No.
5 7.
5, 7, make sure you had parentheses around it, and it was separated by commas. Number 3, your ordered pair?
4
4, 8. Number 4?
8.
9, 3. Number 5?
3
3, 4. Number 6?
5.
6, 5. Any questions on 2 through 6?
I can all around.
Number 7, you should have gone 7 to the right and up 3 and labeled it N. Number 8, 0 to the right and up 4, you would have been on the y-axis, labeling it R. Number 9, 8 to the right and up 7, labeling it O. Number 10, 2 to the right and up 1, labeling it M. Number 11, 5 to the right and up 6, labeling it P. And number 12, 1 to the right and up 5, labeling it Q. Any questions on that? Number 13, which building is located at 5-6? 5-6. Price, Schweitzer, March, yes. Number 14, what is the distance between Tip's Pizza and the bank? Tip's Pizza and the bank. Peyton. And they're just units, okay? Because we're not talking a square there. Does that make sense? Okay. And number 15, what is the situation which you might locate points on a coordinate grid?
You kind of get more closer.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
Nice when we're driving and we don't know which where it is.
Okay, all right. Anybody else? Yes.
Flying a plane.
Flying a plane, can you explain that?
Like, if anyone on board somewhere, yes, I would put stuff on, like, you could put, something that makes, like,
Okay, all right.
To
Dante?
figure out how much space would be in between each house.
And can you explain a little bit more on that?
So that you have to look at like having to get stuck and you get it back into your house.
I'm not real sure what you're talking about there.
Like your house can't be like on the other person's house.
What?
So they can have more space in your house like all the other side of your house to get your stuff. So that's why you need more space in your house. Because
Whoa, whoa, whoa. He is talking. I don't need you talking also. Try me again.
you need to make space in between each house to help it all.
So how do you use a coordinate grid for that? Tell me about that.
How much needs to be, how many houses need to,
Okay? Adam? Talk a little bit more about that, please.
Like, let's say we're going to California, you could use a GPS to like pinpoint where you're going.
Okay. Anybody else? Evan?
Like, literally, making up using math.
You're what?
Like, if you have math on a board or something, you can like, pin, like, stack on the say, going up right,
Okay. All right. Okay. How many of you have used Google Maps before? All right. Do you see the grid system on there? Okay. All right. And that would be using the coordinate system. Okay. All right. So all of our, when we look on our atlases, our globes, any of that kind of stuff, we are given a GPS location. Okay. Our navigators, all this is based on a coordinate system. Remember we talked about that? How we could locate places? Okay. So all that would be our coordinate system there. Okay. Questions on that? All right, let's take a look on page 544, please. Number 1, what ordered pair describes the location of the playground? Pardon? Not 2, 4. 4, 2. Again, make sure you have parentheses around it, and it's separated by comma. Number 2, the distance between the school and the library. How would we find that, Peyton?
The school is 72, and the y-axis is 2, and the library is 17, but the y-axis is 8, so you can 8 minus 2 is 16.
Thank you. Questions on that? Okay. And number 8, the value of the underlined digit there. Pardon? That would be the place value. Oh, what's the value, Abby? Pardon? 60,000, yes. And number 4, how much money will Andrew pay or make per month? How do we find that out, Ezra? And how much money? $300? Look again at what your numbers are, I think. If you're not reading your numbers correctly, maybe. Did you see that $300? All right. $600. Was it a 6? Oh, okay. All right. And number 5, how long will it take him to bicycle the road that's 450 miles long? 25 hours, good. And number 6, how many beads are used to make the necklace?
3 and 84.
No. Audra?
150.
How many?
150.
No. 160. How did you get that?
160.
Oh, 960. No. Did anybody get 160?
No, I don't want 160.
Okay. Nobody got 160?
No.
How many total beads are there? How can we have more beads to make part of it than we have total? How many total beads are there? And you guys found it took more beads in the necklace than there were total beads there? Does that make sense? Oh, no. So let's read this question. It takes 5 times as many beads to make a necklace as it does to make a bracelet. Which is the smaller amount? How many boxes does the necklace get? How many total boxes do we have? How many beads do we have? What do we do with that?
You have to divide it.
What's that 32 tell us? You guys need to just quit taking some numbers that you have in a problem and doing something with them. Read it carefully. You took 5 times and went, woo, 5 times, okay, let's just multiply by 5. No, no, no. 5 times what? Okay. Questions? You guys remember how to do this, don't you? All right. Yesterday's work. Ship number 1. Ship number 1. Your X coordinate was always what? 4?
Yes.
Your Y coordinate was anywhere from 6 through 13? 14, wasn't it?
Yeah, but then.
Were there not enough spaces?
Yeah.
Did you add 1?
Yeah.
4 through 14 or 6 through 14? Yeah. Okay. Number 2, what was consistent in number 2? And it was the Y coordinate. The X coordinate went from 10 up through 14, right? 14, right?
Yeah.
Right? Had to add 1 for 14, didn't you? Okay. Ship number 3. What was consistent there? What was consistent in ship number 3? What was 21? The X coordinate was 21. Okay. The Y coordinate was anywhere from 16 through 16 through what? 21. Right? Yes? Was it 16? 17. Should be 17, shouldn't it? 17 through 21? 22?
What?
22. Ship 3. 17 through 22. Right? 17 through 22. Ship 4. Anything consistent there? Anything consistent on ship 4? No, because it's at a diagonal. So you would have had 622 is one of them, right?
Yeah.
721 is one of them. 820. 9. 19. And 10. 18, right? Is that correct?
1018?
Is that right, everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Ship 5, was there anything consistent there?
8.
8 for what?
The
Y coordinate? The X coordinate was in anything from 12 up through 18. Good.
Oh. You needed to add it in.
Ship 6, was there anything consistent there?
14 What?
14 for the x-axis.
Oh.
The y-axis was anything from 16 through 21. Good. And ship 7, was there anything consistent there?
11.
11 was what?
Why?
Y coordinate, wasn't it? And the x coordinate was from 20, 21, 22, and 23. Good. All the shifts are in, oh my, don't go in there. Get rid of that second in. What quadrant? Quadrant 1.
Oh.
Question. All right. The other thing you should have brought with you was survey questions. Put those off to the side for right now. Need to have out your small Indiana books, the thin ones. That's hard to figure out. Funny. Very All right. collecting and organizing data today. It is on page 49. Data is a set of numbers or pieces of information. People collect data all over the place. You're on the news, you're told about, we've got this certain number of people, percentage of people tell us this. People who are wanting to make new medicines, they collect data on that. Anybody who wants to do something new, typically they do a survey, what do you think about this, to determine if they should continue on or not, or change something. When we talked about the design process in science, we talked about how they go out and gather data. They use that data to determine how they're going to move forward, how they're going to change their product or not. So data is just like collecting a set of numbers or pieces of information. You conduct a survey. That's one way to collect data. When you ask people questions and record their answers, you're conducting that survey. You can make an observation. So you could stand somewhere and just observe what's going on. Scientists very often stand and observe, or walk around and observe, okay? Or they have machines that simulate the same thing happening over and over again, and they observe what happens to the item, okay? So let's say that they're wanting to check out how a car piece, the strength of a car piece, all right? Well, they're not going to have a person go out and keep crashing it into a wall, okay? They would simulate that, though, in their shop, and they would crash it into a wall at a certain speed to see what it would do to the car, all right? Because they want to make sure that it tests to a certain degree for safety, all right? So there are a lot of observations that are made. So when you collect data, you're either looking at an object or an event for an observation, you are asking questions, okay? And a lot of times when you're doing observation, it will take you a long time to gather your data, okay? There are people that actually go out, like in the desert, and they will count how many spiders, are in a certain area, or how many chickens hatch eggs in a certain area, whatever, Okay? People actually do that for a job. Okay? Me personally, is not something I would be interested in. But there are people that are interested in those jobs, and that's what they do. And they record all this data, and they're keeping track of the animal life that's out there. Okay? All right? When we take a look at what we're doing, though, we're going to do it on a very basic scale here. Okay? And when we do this, we're taking a look at what do you do when you ask your question? How do you keep track of your information? You don't just scribble it down somewhere and then try to put it all together later. Okay? One way is to, when you ask your questions, is to keep track on a table. Okay? It's called a frequency table. All right? Typically you have 3 columns to it rather than just 2. We would have an additional column, and that's how we're going to use our frequency tables, with a 3rd column. So we would have a 3rd column out here. Okay. And when you ask your question, you want to be sure that you ask your question. So there's enough variety that people can actually give a response that is something they would want to respond to. Does that make sense? So if there's not even a choice there for me, I'm not really giving a true response. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's do favorite lunch. Okay. So favorite lunch, and our survey here only is going to give us four options. Okay. We have to have our title up here. This is going to be the actual food option. Okay. So let's say that it's going to be a sandwich of some sort, and we're not going to be specific about the sandwich. That leaves a little more broad. Does that make sense? Okay. Soup is another option. Salad of some sort, and again, that leaves it pretty wide open there. And then we'll put other. Okay. That way, if in our options you don't like any of those, we know we haven't hit upon yours, but you still can say, oh, no, you didn't hit any of those. There's something else out there I really like. Does that make sense? Okay. Our tallies are going to be keeping track of what you have chosen. All right. In our last column, we're going to put the frequency with which it happens as an actual numerical value. Okay, the frequency. So here we go. Of those choices, go. Jonathan? Dante? What?
No, I think we're doing some purpose. That was just doing some purpose. Oh my God. What?
Team. All right. Now, can I put pizza up there without it taking out a lot of the others?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Hand out the pizza up there would have taken out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add pizza down here. And I'm going to put 7 tally marks in there, which means I'm going to take out 8 of these, right? Which is not how you do a survey, by the way. Just saying. It is not how you do a survey. That is not how you do a survey. When we had 15 and other, it occurred to me I was asking a bunch of students. And I was using the book choices. Soup and salad for students, probably what, soup for students? No, that's more of an adult choice rather than student probably. Does that make sense? So pizza Probably more of a student choice. Okay. Which tells us that if you're going to be offering choices, think about who your audience is. Right? Does that make sense? Okay, so think about who your audience is. Because when we got other, that didn't really tell us what people like for lunch, does it? Okay. Uh-huh. So if your choices, most of them land in other, does that really tell us what I should be serving for lunch to appease you? No. Okay. Now I could see, if I had pizza, I might hit most of you, that? Okay. And have a better chance of offering pizza, and then soup came in next, other was still pretty high on the list. Those stand up if you were an other that I still didn't hit. What do you guys like? Uh-huh. Huh? I can't hear you. Yeah, but what would you eat for lunch? A general thing you would eat for lunch. If it's not a sandwich, soup or salad or pizza. What's a general thing you would eat for lunch? What do you pack for lunch? So pasta. Okay. Huh? Ezra? Huh? What's he saying?
I love shrimp.
Oh my God, I
Right.
forgot about that.
Okay, but what is in your leftovers? Is it any? Okay, so a pasta meal. Okay. All right. The other thing I would say about this list is it's really not long enough. Does that make sense? Okay. We've limited it to, I finally put on here 4 choices. All right. It's really not long enough because when I hear the rest of you, what you said, we didn't have any pasta on there. Okay. We didn't give a lot of variety here. We limited it. So when you do a list, you probably want to have more than just a few choices. Okay? And you want to have variety to it. Okay? You might even want to change it to different types of food. So a sandwich left it pretty broad, right? You wouldn't want to say hamburger, hot dog, maybe just a sandwich. That lets people go, I can have any kind of sandwich I want, right? Okay, that leaves it broad enough. You might have wanted to say pasta, though. Okay? You might have wanted to say, some kind of rice meal, maybe some kind of Mexican food. That would have covered a lot. Pasta would have covered a lot. A Mexican meal would have covered a lot that is not one of these. Does that make sense? Pizza covers a lot. So if you can offer like a broad topic, that would have covered a lot. Does that make sense? So if we had pasta,
Chicken. And then I just said fried shrimp.
yeah, but now we're getting, okay, but now we're starting to get real specialized. Shrimp?
Ooh,
Okay.
shrimp is good.
But Mexican, and then some kind of a rice dish. I heard that a lot. And with the rice dish, you can go lots of ways, right?
Fried
Does that make sense? Okay. And remember, these were like the main course. We weren't talking the whole thing. Okay? So those were the things I heard in here. Now, when I say Mexican, that would be another thing. You would want to know what kind of audience you had. Maybe if we knew we had a lot of people that ate a lot of Italian food, you'd want to have that on your plate too. But we're just talking a basic lunch. We're not talking we're doing fine dining here, you know? Sir, fine dining, you know? All right? Okay. The survey questions we're going to do, we don't want to do yes, no for the purposes that we're going to use. You can have that kind, but for what we're going to do, we're not going to use yes, no. Okay? All right? Okay? Now, when we analyze our data, instead of just looking at tally marks, we're going to go over here with our frequency so that we can easily look at how often did it occur. We're going to look at the actual frequency with which it occurred rather than always going back and recounting our tally marks. Does that make sense? Okay? And then we look at what got the most, the least. How many students did you survey? 27. Okay? Well, you add up your frequency here, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. All right? If we think about, if we wanted to consider this a good survey in the 5th grade, is one of 4 classes in the 5th grade going to give us good enough results? Possibly. Okay? Do we have to survey the whole class? No. Okay? But you don't just want to ask 5 students. You want a nice chunk of them. You don't want to just ask the boys. You don't want to just ask the girls. You don't want to just ask the soccer team or just the volleyball team. Okay? So you want to think about who you're asking as well. Okay? Take a look at the next page. Would you rather have a red apple or a tasty green apple?
Green.
This is not a good survey question. This is not a good survey question.
Because it says tasty.
It says tasty. It has an opinion in
You
there.
saying red apple stuff?
It has an opinion in there. The word tasty is trying to persuade you that it's better than the red. Red describes, green describes, tasty is now an opinion.
It's not.
When you ask a survey question, you do not want descriptive things that are trying to persuade you. Does that make sense? Okay? So we keep those kinds of things out of our questions. All right? Okay? Take a look at the next one. Do you like the color and smell of fall leaves?
No.
That's not a good question because it's asking you 2 things. I might like the color, but not the smell. Okay? So make sure you only ask one thing. Okay? What's your favorite kind of music? Pop, rock, hip hop, other. Could you answer that question?
Yes.
Yes, because you could fall in the other if they haven't given you a selection here that you like. But again, make sure you ask enough variety there. And again, think about your audience. Okay? If you're going to be asking people your age, make sure you have opportunity in there for things that they might like. Okay? If you're thinking about people in, like you went to Timbercrest and asked the question, would you put all of these in there?
No.
Probably not. You might want to think of music that would be of their generation. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay? All right?
Jazz.
Take a look at this one, observations. Record the number of text messages you get in a week. Is that possible? Is that possible to do? Yes. Yes, it is. It is possible to record that. There is a way that you could look at your phone and record the number of text messages you get. Okay? That is a way that you could collect data. You can keep track of data that way. Sit in your classroom and record the clouds that pass overhead. No, that is not possible. So, is that a good way to collect data? No. You guys writing this stuff down? Okay?
You all say no? Yes?
It is not possible to see every cloud inside your classroom. So this observation is not a good way to collect data. Maya, we're writing in our books. So when you write survey questions, you have to think about who you're asking the survey to, what kind of question it is. What kind of transportation do you like best? Car, bus, plane, or other? No. We're not answering the question, folks. We're determining if this is a good question. Could a person answer this question?
Yes.
Yes, so you could answer this question. So it is a good question. Number 2, observe people driving by and record how many are driving to work. Is it possible to look at drivers and know if they're going to work?
No.
So, it is not possible so this observation is not a good way to collect data. Take a look on the next page. Would you rather eat a boring green salad or a fruit salad? Is this a good survey question? No, why not? Yeah, what's the opinion? Okay, put no and circle boring. We're shortening this up for you. We should be explaining it, do we understand? But we run out of time. Okay. Number 4, observe 3 ants, record the number of seconds it takes them to each walk 1 meter. Each walk 1 meter. Is that a good observation question?
No.
Could we do this?
Yes.
Yes, we could do that. We could do that.
Well, we could.
Is it the most exciting thing to do? No. But could we do it?
Yes.
Yes. We're not asking if this is something fun we want to do. Is it possible to do? Yes. Yes, we could definitely do it.
For people.
Take a look at number 8. What is your favorite pizza topping? Pepperoni, mushroom, cheese, or other? Is it a good survey question?
Yes.
And why? There's no opinion, you've got several options, and there is the other. Okay? Number 9, do you like the taste and smell of fish? Yes or no? Is that a good question?
No.
Why not? There are 2 answers. Good. No, because there's 2 options.
Well,
All right, do we understand these? Okay. Now, you were to have written 2 questions for today, right? All right. We've had the discussion on survey questions, right? Your job now is to go back, look at the 2 questions you wrote. Determine if you think they're good questions or not, and if you don't, you need to fix them for tomorrow. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay? You also need to do page 53 and 54. 53 and 54.
Okay, this is not hard.
Tyler, what do you need? Then sit down. So you're fixing your 2 survey questions if you need to. And 53 and 54. Okay? Checkbooks. Today is Thursday.
Yes.
Turn in what you have done today so that I can be grading it. All right? And then I can get those back to you tomorrow. Ma'am, I'm coming.